And I think definitely helpful on the resin side. On the glass side, you're using the TWI in the spreadsheet. Are you actively looking at particle count? Does the app help you?
So I will say this, and we're probably going to disagree on the particle count and coverage thing at some point down the road, so we might as well just...
I'm just delaying the conversation, man.
I know, I can tell. We can bring the elephant in the room. I don't use the app as much. I haven't found much of a need for it because of the way my practice is structured. And I think the TWI worksheet, which for the majority of what we're doing, we're talking about uni-compartment MERD dosimetry, which is the most simplest form of dosimetry. I think BSA is very simple, but it's very inaccurate. I think MERD is probably the one that gives you a fair amount of accuracy, and it's the most simple to use.
For RadSeg.
For RadSeg. And also,
segmental.
Segmental. And we can...
Yes.
I'm sure we're going to get down the partition game as well. MERD dosimetry is very simple to use. And so the TWI worksheet gives you that kind of information. We use Simplicity, which is, it allows us to kind of calculate all that stuff.
That's your dosimetry software platform.
Yes, right. But that allows us to get the dose and just do simple uni-compartment dosimetry that way. Otherwise, I'd be using before we use Simplicity, we use the TWI worksheet.
And then you may use MIM. I also use MIM as well. I do all my contouring and lung shunts and all that thing. How do you feel about MIM?
I'm a little bit biased towards MIM because I got to use it as a resident when I was doing dosimetry research. We had it at Emory back in 2011, 2012. So I like it. It has changed significantly in terms of becoming easy to use with the AI components that it has. It contours the lungs and the livers automatically once you open a SPECT CT. The biggest difference between the two softwares, and we've done courses on these in terms of dosimetry at many conferences, including SIO, at least according to FDA, you are not allowed to calculate the T/N ratio. Well, you can calculate the T/N ratio, but you cannot go further than that if you want to use partition model dosimetry.
On the MAA spec.
On the MAA spec, because the point FDA makes, and that could be a point of discussion here as well, is that MAA is not an accurate surrogate for Y-90. So they don't want to basically approve a dosimetry software to be used for partition model dosimetry using the MAA data. But that's the best we have at this point.
I agree with you on those points too. And I will say MIM has come a very long way in the last 5 years. We used to use MIM too. I mean, it honestly 5 years ago kind of sucked. I mean,
it would take an hour to do one single planning.
But it's not that way anymore. It's
5 minutes now.
Yeah, the AI components have really advanced, and I'm very impressed with the software.
So Kavi remembers we had about 20 nuclear medicine physicians at Emory. They were doing all our dosimetries. I get to know all of it. It would take a long time. Yeah. And I realized that we don't have as big of a nuclear medicine division. So I had to teach myself how to do it. And I was scared. Initially, I was like, oh my goodness, it's going to take me half an hour to do. But with the whole MIM protege and the AI component, literally for particularly the simpler stuff like a segmental treatments that we do quite a number of, less than 5 minutes to do.
Yeah. And we need to understand, y'all are in academics, we're in private-demics. You might have a little bit more time to do this. But people that are trying to read studies in between trying to do cases, you got to make it quick and easy, right? Because somebody's got to be able to reproduce this and run on it. And so rather than mentally harness all the things associated with the great software, we got to make it quick and easy.
I will say though that, when I'm using MIM and dosing a case, it's usually at 7 or 8 at night. So it's not easy to train the word.
Another point, so now that both softwares have improved significantly, in my opinion, both, and there are other dosimetry softwares, but both softwares, by both, I mean Simplicity and MIM, there's actually a economic components as well to it in the private practice and even in academics, that if you do the work, you might as well get paid for it. Yeah. So you can actually get reimbursed for the pre-treatment.
Yes.
And you can get reimbursed for the post-Y-90 dosimetry confirmation, which we can talk about later as well.
But you have to document, right?
You have to make sure your coders know to bill for it. Yeah, that's true. So there's an educational component.
Yes.